Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, friends. Happy Thursday. I was just thinking about how when I have to cancel a stream, if it's a Tuesday stream, it feels like a million years since we've seen each other, whereas if it's like a Thursday or Friday stream, it's like, I'll see you the next day, or I have just seen you, or whatever, but it's like the Tuesday one, then it's like almost a week by the time we like see each other, or like I guess not a full week, but still I'm still like, damn, it's been so long, even though it's not. Hello, good morning, Kat, how are you? I hope everyone had a good weekend and that your week is also going well, because you know we're over the halfway point. I can't decide which animal, you get some sort of bird or dolphin, or oh yeah, maybe a dolphin. I keep thinking about like, because I think the key with this is it's not like you have to be reincarnated into the animal indefinitely. Because I think certain animals have like a tougher life than the others. Because I think what I would want to do is maybe be like a squirrel. Because I keep seeing all the gray squirrels in our like forests and stuff when I go walking with Shadow. And just like getting to like bounce around trees and like skitter up stuff and like, you know, bounce across different trees and things. It just feels like a fun time. But I feel like if I was a squirrel for more than 24 hours, then I'd have to like worry about getting enough nuts for the winter, or else I could die. And then also like all of the foxes, and I don't know if there's birds that are predators of the squirrels. And that just feels like a mess I don't really want to deal with. But I would like to scurry up trees and jump across different trees just for like 24 hours, just for a little bit of a time, you know? Do you want to fly around? Yeah, exactly. It's true. Do you want to spend time in the air, or do you want to spend time in the water? It's tough questions. It is. But yeah, I think it'd be a squirrel. Or a dog, only because I think I would want to know what Shadow is thinking. And if I was also a dog, then I could find out. But then also, maybe I don't want to find out. Because what if he, like, actually thinks not very highly of me or something, you know what I mean? I can't see that being being possible, because he wags his tail and stares into my soul quite frequently, and I'm like, you can't be indifferent to me if that's how you react. But I think I'd still be nervous that if I found out that like Shadow actually was like indifferent to my existence, right? He would never. It's true. Yeah, I'd like to think we'd be bestest buds if I was also a dog, but you never know. That would be a little like a low-key fear of mine, that like what if Shadow was like, damn, you're an obnoxious dog, I wouldn't want to be your dog friend. But who knows. He was an incredibly good boy yesterday, so we both survived him being left alone for 7 hours yesterday. So the most I had left him alone by myself was probably 4. But I had like a shopping day with my mother-in-law booked to pick up a bunch of stuff for the reception happening at the end of the month. I actually have a bunch of show and tell to show you guys, because I think you'll find all of the little bits I picked up for the kids' little gift bags to be quite exciting. So we'll do that later. But I set a timer on my phone for like 4 hours, because I was like, that's the most, you know, he's ever been. So when we have a camera, so we checked on it, and he like just chilled on the sofa for most of the like day. And I was like, well, there's no point in like us turning around now, because then I have to go out again. Like, let's try to get everything done today, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore. But yeah, that meant like putting both of us, it was the ultimate test for both of us, because of course it made me really sad, because I, you know, got worried about him. But then I checked and I'm like, he's good, everything will be great. So we both survived. I will say though, I feel like I might have, I didn't quite, but when I got home and he was so happy to see me and like gave me kisses and his butt was wiggling and stuff, and I gave him a big cuddle, I like almost cried. I almost burst into tears when I walked through the door, because I was so proud of him for being such a good boy the whole time. I could like, you know, when you feel tears like picking the back of your eyes, but they don't like fully come out. So that's what happened. I was like, I'm just so proud of him, you know? But yeah, so it was very good. It was very successful all around for both of us. And we got a lot of stuff done. There were some things we didn't pick up, so we still have to make some orders and things, but we have very exciting stuff to showcase. And not unofficially, but I've also now created another project for myself, which we'll probably end up doing on stream. I'll probably have to do a lot of it off stream, but we'll also do it on stream to try to maximize. I'm basically gonna be decoupaging like 8 boxes. So I probably need to put some stream hours into that if I'm gonna get them all done by the end of the month. Who knows though. But yeah. All right, let's get down to business. Actually, let's put this in here. And start the stabbing. Trying to now remember. Okay, so these guys are the darker color, and this one for some reason. But yeah, so things have been good. On the Tuesday, I had an appointment, so I had to cancel stream. But that went fine. It was funny though, because we basically had run out of Shadow's kibble, or we were like on the tail end of it. And I looked at it Tuesday morning and was like, shit, we're not gonna have enough for the rest of the day. And I knew I was going out yesterday, so we stopped by the pet store and picked up more of his kibble yesterday. But I was like, oh, for the next 2 meals, we need something. And so I stopped by the grocery store on my way back from my appointment just to like see if I could find some, just like generic kibble that could tide us over for the next 48 hours. And I swear to God, I don't know what I picked up. I must have picked up some like doggy crack or something, because Shadow has never been food motivated. Like, he was a little bit when he was little, but like he kind of like, he's indifferent to his breakfast most of the time. He's like, whatever, I'll eat like when I feel like it. Dinner, he's more so. But I brought this kibble home, and it was this Purina Bakers and chicken, because usually the like richer meats like lamb and beef are too kind of rich for him, so we always stick with chicken or turkey. Brought this home, gave him a couple in his bowl just to see, because he's infamously turns his nose up with all the foods that are sort of outside of his normal thing. And I shit you not, like, he inhaled them and was like, that's good, I would like more, please. And every once in a while I catch him like sniffing the area where the food is, like he's looking for more of this stuff. And I was like, God damn, sir, you've never been this interested in your food before in your life. And then I was telling my mother-in-law about it, and she looked up the brand online, and there was a report saying that this kibble may cause behavioral issues in your dogs. And I was like, oh, that's wild, I wonder why. And they said, oh, it's probably like an additive. So basically I think what was happening is I probably found like the McDonald's equivalent of kibble. So it's one of those where it provides him with nutrients, but it's like extra tasty and probably only good for like a little treat. Like, you don't want to exist on McDonald's for your entire life, but you might want. That's what I'm thinking. Like, there's maybe some sort of additive in there that it just makes them a little bit too excited about it. So we did pick him up more of his like standard kibble yesterday, and I've mixed it with what's left of, because I just got a small box because we just needed to tide him over. So yeah, I mixed it with the small box of the doggy McDonald's. And so we'll give him a little bit in between, because the other thing too that they always say is it's not good to like switch your dog's diet suddenly, because then like, I don't know, their stomachs can react really poorly, or react like, yeah, like they need a transition period. So when you switch their meals, they always recommend doing like a mix of both while you wean out to add another one. So I was like, well, if I mix this, then at least like that will be easier. And then also, because the other issue that sometimes we have is if we give him like something special, like one time we ran out of his pate, and we were giving him like, you can get those like pre-cooked chicken chunks. I was giving him pre-cooked chicken chunks, and then when we got the pate back, we put the pate in the bowl, and he looked at it and like stuck his nose up at it, being like, this isn't chicken. So sometimes we make the mistake of giving him something in the interim that he's then like, oh, this is much better than what my usual thing is. I don't want the usual anymore. And we go, no bitch, like this is what you need to eat. So I'm hoping that by mixing it, we then don't have like a standoff again where he's like, this isn't the Purina Baker's puppy crack that you picked me up. But yeah, so that was interesting. But now I know that if we do have to make emergency food runs locally, that must be the one. That's gotta be the one. Yeah, so we had like a bit of a smaller walk this morning because before I left him on the Tuesday, because I had to leave him, we went to the forest, had some big zoomy adventures then. And then yesterday I wanted to take him for a really long walk before I left him because it's usually like if he's really tired, then he gets less anxious and he just kind of hangs out and naps and stuff, which is the goal. They always say a tired dog is a happy dog. So I took him for a really long walk yesterday as well. So today, both of us were just like completely like taking our sweet time getting out of bed this morning. Because between like the long walk with him and then the 7 hours of shopping, it's one of those where it sounds really stupid when you say like, oh man, I got really tired shopping yesterday. But like, if you think about it, like you're walking on like hard concrete floors, sometimes carrying large heavy bags depending on what you're picking up, so like it can actually be quite a workout, you know. It's sort of like one of those like overly gendered things that people make fun of like actually not being that big of a deal, but when you actually like think about it, the amount of like steps you're doing, because that's the other thing too, when people used to like as an insult, people would be like, oh, you broke a nail, but like sometimes when you break a nail it hurts like a bitch. And it's actually incredibly painful, and it's not something you should, like, stick your nose up at. Same with shopping. I'm like, if you've ever walked around, like, it's like when people stand for, like, 8-hour shifts when they're, like, serving food or whatever, working on a shop floor. You don't realize how bad it can be for your back and your feet and stuff to just be standing for so long. It's like Disney World. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, you think like, oh, I'm in the most magical place in the world, and you're like, yeah, you're walking through the most magical place in the world on a hot summer day usually. It's definitely going to take a lot out of you for sure. But yeah, it was really funny though because the first thing we left a little bit later, and so the first thing we did was have lunch, and I was like, you know, a bit kind of nervous because again, I was like, okay, 4 hours, we need to, like, you know, get a move on. So I was like, okay, eat lunch, like, we're going to hit the ground running, get stuff done, make sure we're sort of home, whatever. We, like, spent probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, like, almost half of my, like, allotted countdown time just catching up over lunch because we hadn't seen each other for a while, so we need to like to get out our respective gossip and life updates, and once that was done, then we could hit the ground running and start shopping. But it took a minute, and so I was like, oh, it's a good thing, you know, like Shadow was in a good space, because obviously if he was really upset, like if I checked on the camera and he was like really not happy, then we would have come home. But because he was in a good space, I was like, excellent, we can keep going. Yeah, Disney's exhausting. It's true. It's true. I went to Disney when I was, what grade was I in? I think I was in the 3rd grade, so I was quite young. So it was one of those things where, you know, because my brother was a year younger than me. And you know, it's one of those age ranges where like, you're like, at least for me, I could technically ride all the rides. I think I was tall enough, but my brother wasn't tall enough for a lot of stuff. Or, you know, those like things like that, right? Where you go, but some of the stuff you're not able to access because of your size and age and whatever. But that is definitely one of those things. I remember too, like a friend of mine, she went to Disney, and we were in like primary school, and she said at one point, like, she was embarrassed, but she was like, yeah, my mom ended up like pushing me around like in a pushchair. Almost as like, oh my god, like treating me like a baby. But then you think about it, I'm like, yeah, for like an 8-year-old, to be walking around that much. It is exhausting. I do want to be pushed around in a pushchair like a little baby at that point. As a freaking grown-ass adult, I would enjoy that, you know? But I think when you're a kid, you try so hard not to be seen as a baby that you don't want anything that might potentially, like, infantilize you happening. But then, like, once you get to a certain point, you're like, oh, I would love, as a 31-year-old woman, to have nap time and be pushed around, right? Exactly. I would love it. But yeah, when you're a kid, you, like, don't want to be seen as a baby, so you try really hard to, like, resist those things, even though they would be totally wanted later on in life. You always see all those memes where, like, adults are like, oh man, why was I so resistant to nap time as a child? Like, I would kill for some nap time right now. Love nap time. Yeah. I think truly, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I value sleep time and food time. And if there's anything that conflicts or gets in the way of those two things, like, it's a problem. I think that's why I was never set out for, you know, the club life. I was like, really? Especially, too, that all my friends would get ready to go out at, like, 11 p.m. And I'm like, I already have my pajamas on. I'm already in bed at that point. What do you mean we're getting ready to go out to the club at 11? Who are you? Yeah, I wasn't very good at that. Cool. Oh, Liam and I, we had homemade pizzas last night, and we didn't burn them, but, like, I think we made the pizza crust. We get these, like, gluten-free pre-made bases, and then you load them up, like, customize them and whatever. But I think we, like, crisped up the crust a little bit too much, because the roof of both of our mouths at the end of dinner are just completely shredded. Do you ever find that happen? Like, if I was, like, still... Like, sometimes when you have something that's, like, a bit too crispy, or when you have those hard candies that just sometimes shred the roof of your mouth afterwards. So it still feels a little bit raw. Yeah. If worshiping Greek gods was still a thing, my shrine would be Morpheus. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, it's either shredding it with the crust or burning it because you don't wait long enough for it to cool down, and the cheese and the molten sauce underneath the cheese is like a lava explosion in your face, which is not enjoyable. There's a state here that has a pizza that slaps on fresh cold. Oh, that's nice. That would be nice. And it doesn't, yeah, it's probably like when you make a cup of tea, of like hot tea, and then you put milk in it afterwards, and then it like cools it down to a more drinkable temperature. It's one of those where it probably is really hot, but then as soon as you put that cheese on it, it like makes it eatable right away. That sounds like an excellent idea. Yeah, today was chill out day. Kind of. It was chill out and like sort the house out day. Because I had, you know, after the excursions, you just kind of like dump everything on the dining room table, being like, I'm going to sort this out and clean this up tomorrow. This is a future Tasha problem. So today was future Tasha. There's a pizza place my mom went to when she was a teenager and she knew the owners. She'd have to pull her pizza. Oh, that's so cool. They would have to pull her pizza out and let it sit. That's so funny. They would be like, we don't trust you. That's so funny. That's very considerate of them. To be like, listen, you have no self-control. We will wait for the pizza to cool down for you. That's so silly. Yeah, they loved her players. Yeah. Aw, that's nice. I guess if she came in enough, they would be. Because sometimes I feel like people just like to chit chat and stuff like that, and then it's like, okay. I would sometimes, because when I worked at Subway when I was in school, we would be entitled to a free foot-long sub, like one free foot-long sub per shift. But I couldn't eat the bread, so I'd always make salads, and salads only cost a 6-inch amount worth of food. So what you would do on the till is you would charge for a 6-inch sub, and then plus, like, you'd click the salad button, and then it would charge for the, like the container or whatever. And so sometimes if I had friends come in, or like people that I kind of even vaguely knew, or people that I thought were like attractive or whatever, I would give them, even if they got a full length one, I would only charge them for a 6-inch, and then I would claim my other half so that they could basically get a free sub or free part of a sub. I'm like, I didn't have much control back in those days, but I could control who I gave the other half of my Subway sandwich to. Yeah, I think one of the sons had a crush on her. That's so sweet. You're like, it's on the house. Should take me there when I was a kid. Oh, that's cool. When there's an arcade machine in the store, that's awesome. It was so funny. We went into Urban Outfitters yesterday because I thought they would have Instamax camera film because they do online. They didn't have any, but they have 2 arcade machines in the back of the Urban Outfitters. It's very interesting. I've never played any of the games, but I think they have like a Simpsons one. And then another, I think it's like a Street Fighter one. I don't know if they're just emulators and they play different games or if they only play those games. I find Urban Outfitters so interesting because I like individual pieces in Urban Outfitters, but then when I see them, the way they like style their mannequins and things, I'm like, no, that's not a look that I could ever see myself. That's like not my style at all. But then there's individual components, and I'm like, I like that, but not the way you guys show it. The other thing, too, is they also keep bringing back, like, millennial, like, fashion from, like, the 90s, like, or early 2000s, like, Y2K stuff, which was considered, like, trendy when I was little, but I never wore trendy things when I was younger. And so I'd see them, and I recognized the brands. Like, they've brought back, like, Von Dutch, and like Tom Hardy and Juicy Couture tracksuits and stuff like that, which was very like Yeah, like a very sort of coveted thing of the 90s, 2000s, but like with a specific group of people, and I was not that specific group. So the thing that I really like, so I like acknowledging the throwbackness of it all, but not something that I would ever choose to put on my body because I wasn't into it then and I wouldn't be into it now. But, you know, I'm just a sucker for nostalgia, so I like seeing it and being like, nostalgic! The only clothes I want back are the neons. I love a neon. Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think if I probably did have some neon stuff. I find that I'm more drawn to, like, jewel tones now. But, like, just, like, brightly colored jewel tones. But a neon's fun, especially in the summertime. Not that it, like, I feel like you can, you know, wear colors whenever, at any point in the year. But especially in the summer. I just feel like because they're fun, they remind me of sunshine, you know? I used to have these, what was it? They were lime green fishnet, like, half gloves. That I used to style with, like, my purple skinny jeans and, like, red high tops and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure I got them in, like, one of those Ardennes or Claire's, like, grab bags you used to get for, like, $10. They would have, like, a surprise bag. And I remember we used to sit there and try to grab the surprise bags, and you would feel around in the surprise bags to see if you could make out what the different things were before you bought one. So you couldn't spend too long in there because the salespeople would tell you off. But I remember going in there and, like, trying to covertly feel around in the loot bags to see, I'm like, oh, that's, like, a big clip. I don't have really, like, thick hair, so that doesn't work for me or whatever. And try to see if I could feel for something that might actually be interesting for me. You know what you mean? Yeah, I guess they were kind of like fingerless gloves, but they were more just like half stocking things. To be fair, I think I had black ones too at one point, but I remember there's like a specific photo of me wearing these neon, like, fishnet gloves on a Greyhound bus because it was a school trip to Montreal. I don't know why I was wearing them on the bus, but probably because it was part of my look for the excursion. I don't wear anything. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Neons. Oh, your skin pops on neons. That's really cool. I find, yeah, I don't know what. Every once in a while, I think I wear like a bright blue every once in a while, and I'm always like, I need to do this more. But I'm similar to you, where I wear a lot of black, or I wear a lot of like nature tones. Just, you know, things that make me blend in with the forest that I want to spend all my time in. The only color that I don't like wearing, because I find it doesn't look good on me, is yellow. Because I think I have a lot of, like, yellow undertones on my skin, so every time I wear a yellow, it, like, washes me out and looks really bad. But I can do an orange or, like, a rust color. Or, like, even kind of a mustardy color, but, like, a true yellow, like this kind of yellow, absolutely not. Yeah, you avoid yellow too. There's people that I know, like, they look beautiful in yellow. But it's not for me. It's like a more of a cool tone, definitely. I was looking the other day, I came across like a YouTube essay about the sort of like different color matching like style quizzes and stuff you can take, where you can go to like a professional, I don't know if they're called like colorologists or something like that, where they help determine like the best colors for your skin tone and stuff like that. And they were saying like there are obviously like Snapchat or like TikTok filters or whatever filters on them, but obviously with phones and things like they have a hard time detecting the exact hues, you know what I mean? And so it kind of doesn't really make sense to try to do, like, it doesn't really work to do it digitally. You almost have to, like, literally sit your face beside color swatches to kind of determine those things. And I think that would be really cool just to know, but I don't care enough to pay a professional to tell me what colors look good on me, even though that would be interesting information. I'm like, I love taking a quiz, but anytime I have to pay money towards something that is, like, just kind of superfluous like that and doesn't actually, like, benefit me in any way aside from knowledge, then I'm like, it's probably not worth it for me, you know? I could see, you know, all the YouTube people out there who use it as a business expense, then I would be like, heck yeah, sign me up. But I'm not that fortunate that I could business expense something like that. Yeah, there's a TikTok filter that did. Yeah. It is a cool idea. And I think that was one of the things that inspired, like, some of these YouTubers to do the videos, like, kind of looking at that further. Because, yeah, again, I think it's a cool concept, but if your phone, like, isn't calibrated or whatever. It's the same thing I always find, like, when I try to color match for cross-stitch stuff. When you look at a color on a screen, and then when you look at the actual color on the thread in real life, it's never the same. Whoops. Okay, we'll see how much we can get done today. I'm trying real hard to get down to business today in hopes that, you know, we can actually crank some of this out. Because I feel like we have many a neglected project, but we also have a timeline of when we need to get some things done. Because like I said, I ordered the stuff today, so I don't have the decoupage stuff. I have 4 of the 8, like, they're like cardboard, kind of like paper mache bases. That I bought. So I bought half of them because that was all that was at Hobbycraft. So I've just ordered more with the decoupage paper. So when that arrives, I think if we can get this done, then we can do some of that on stream while we do other things. Because I still think it would be fun to react to that Across the World TV show where they end up... It's a British reality TV show where they are going across Canada this season, and they end up going through my, like, little crater of a town. So I thought it'd be really funny to do one of those react streams where we watch the show together, and then I can point out parts of my hometown as they arise. But I think the show's only, even if it's like 40 minutes, we have a 3-hour stream, right? So we have other stuff we can do during that. The other thing, too, I don't know if it would be fun or if it would be kind of annoying or boring, is just, like, doing quizzes to fill up that space as well. Because I think we were talking, obviously, about astrology and birth charts, but there's obviously those, like, what is it? Those, like, engram types and the MBTI tests and all those different things. There's another one, too, that apparently has been going around. That's, like, a food sensitivities quiz that people are basically, like, determining their level of tolerance for, like, I don't know, like, gross food things. Like, would you know, eat, like, scrape mold off of something and then still eat it? Like, those sorts of things. You lived off a trivia chat for, like, a year. Yeah, I do love trivia as well. I'm a big trivia fan. I used to be really into, I go through phases where I get super into Sporkle. It's like, it's not trivia, but it's, well, kind of trivia, but it's like quizzes and stuff. Where it's like, oh, name or put things in order or something like that. I think every once in a while I try to see how many Pokemon I can name. So I'll usually go to Sporkle and see if I can name like 150 of the Pokemon. Never can. Or I've done ones where it's like, oh, name all the countries in the world. And you realize that you have so many gaps in your geography knowledge that it's like unhinged the amount that you don't know. So not that one. I think it's just this one and this one. Looks that way. But yeah, because I don't think reacting to that show will take the entire 3 hours. We got other things we gotta do. You can't even name all the states. Yeah. It's true, right? It's one of those things where it happens and it goes straight through your brain and out the other side. There's only certain ones, I find like with countries and things, there's only certain ones I remember for the most part, like, if I have some sort of like personal like attachment to them, you know what I mean? Like there were certain countries, like it's horrible, right? Like it's horrible, but there's certain countries I didn't even know existed, and I own, like in Africa specifically. And the only reason now when I do these quizzes, there's a couple that I just instantly know because when I was in grad school, I worked with a bunch of refugees from different countries. And so there was a certain group of people, like they were a couple of kids that I really like connected with, and they were from a specific country that I'm like, oh, now I know that one all the time now. Whereas other countries, I'm like, oh shit, like I have no idea. Oh, people have no idea how big the US is. Even Canada. Like, they have no clue. They have no clue. Where I'm like, because it's like for them, if they drove 12 hours in one direction, they would leave the country. And I'm like, yeah, if you drive 12 hours in just Ontario specifically, you'd still be in Ontario. You know, like it would be one of those things where you can't drive across the whole of the country in a day. Whereas you can in England. Or the fact that, like, so many people haven't seen all of their country because it's too expensive to fly. Like, you know, it can cost it, like, I don't know, like a couple hundred, maybe $1,000 to fly from one end of the country to the other. Whereas, like, in England, you can get, like, 50-pound budget flights to go, like, to a bunch of different countries. It's, like, unheard of. Canada doesn't even really have any budget airlines. It would take several days to get from one coast to the other. Yeah, exactly. I think it took, and so this wasn't even going like all the way across. It was from Ontario to Alberta. So that's central Canada to almost the end of Canada. Like, because BC's at the very end, but Alberta is like right before, like beside it. And we drove there one time. And mind you, we did a stopover in Manitoba for like a couple days, but I think if we didn't do that, it probably 4 days to get from central to like from Ontario to Alberta. And that's not even, you know what I mean? So it would easily take a week, if not more than a week, to get. I don't know how long this around the world, across the world show in the UK. I don't know how long they're meant to take. I think maybe they take a month or whatever. But they're not doing a direct route. They're kind of going like zigzaggy across the country. And they also like have to rely on ride shares and shit like that. Like if you could do an efficient travel across one point for the other, you could probably get it done in a week. Maybe. I don't know. That's my best estimate. But no, it's true. There really is like zero concept of how big those things are. To be fair, I'm almost like suffering from that now too, because I've been here for so long. And I'm over here talking to my parents being like, oh, but you know, it's a bit far. It's an hour away. And my parents are like, yeah, an hour away. That's us driving to the Edmonton Oilers game and back again. They're like, what? Same thing happened too when my friend Jen came over. And I was like, oh man, like it's going to take 4 hours. And she's like, excuse me, are you not from Canada? Why are you suddenly concerned about driving for 4 hours? And I was like, I'm sorry. To be fair, even when I would drive, like, because it would take, I don't know, I would say me 6 hours. But according to my best friend, apparently I drive like a grandma. But yeah, like 5-6 hours to get from my hometown to Toronto. And we would do that journey quite frequently. You know, like that was a standard occurrence in the family, was to like, you know, do probably like 4 times a year, go down to Toronto. But mind you, I think there was only 1 or 2 times that I drive that route because I don't know. I don't enjoy driving. I do it because I have to. So if I'm with somebody, like Liam will always drive. You know what I mean? Whereas, so it isn't intimidating from the distance perspective, but as somebody who doesn't drive very often and doesn't particularly enjoy driving, it is a bit intimidating because I'm like, okay, my neck muscles are going to seize up and I just have to be aware that that's what's going to happen. Yeah, I would drive from every other weekend from Mobile to Birmingham to see my family. Yeah. 3.5 one way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like, it's wild when you think, like, when you put it into perspective that you're like, yeah, no, multiple hours is a thing. Though I say that, we do have friends that, like, do 2-hour commutes multiple times a week, because we have a bunch of friends who, like, not a bunch of friends, we have a few friends who moved, like, they work in London, but they moved outside of London either during the pandemic or after that, but still would commute into London for work. And I think we have a friend who does like a 2-hour one way, so like 4-hour round trip to go to work. Like, it's one thing if you're driving that long for like a vacation or a pleasure-based trip, but to have to be doing a 2-hour commute for work, I'm like, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I was having to commute like 40 minutes for one of the last jobs I had, and I hated every minute of it. To be fair, though, I say 40 minutes. Sometimes it would take an hour. Back then, texting was only available with buttons. Yeah! Oh my god. I got really good at not even looking at the phone. Oh, yeah, wasn't it called like K-Not? Like, it was called K something. There was a specific term for that where, yeah, you had the multiple letters per keystroke. Yeah, I never had, like, I think by the time I got a cell phone or, like, when I was texting on my cell phone, I had a keypad, but I had a phone that did do that. I just think I wasn't, like, texting at that point. It was more like, here's my phone for, like, my cell phone for emergencies. But I had a friend who got really good at that. I could never wrap my brain around those ones. And sometimes they would, like, autocorrect and stuff. Or, like, autocomplete because it's trying to save your effort of, like, having to type in, like, the word necessarily only using, like, nine keys. But yeah, so I had a friend who had one, and I remember trying to text on his phone one time, and I was like, this is ridiculous. This is exhausting. My boyfriend at the time would just nonstop send me messages. Really? Yeah. Oh, that's true. That was a thing. Like, I know. Yeah. Because I can even admit, like, back in the day, I used to have rules with myself where it's like, okay, I would only text at stop signs or, like, at, you know, red lights and stuff like that. But I'm like, still, that's completely not okay. Yeah. I still have friends now or, like, people we know that will sit there and be like, oh yeah, just let me look this up, like, while they're driving. I'm like, bitch, no, I am the passenger, let me look it up. No, it's not a problem. I'm like, no, it is a fucking problem. Don't be tapping away on your phone while you're driving. Like, you're a grown-ass human being. You shouldn't still be doing that shit. Luckily, I've not been in the car with somebody who's done that in a while, but I do think that if that does happen to me, I'm absolutely taking their phone and, like, chucking it in their backseat and being like, fucking deal with it. You know? Yeah, exactly. I'm the same way. Like, I have it on my rear view to, like, look on sat navs and stuff, but Absolutely not. Oh, yeah, the amount of times we can see people that are, like, driving in front of us, and they're driving really wonky, and we're like, you're being weird, and then we drive past them, and sure enough, they're on their phone, and you're like, yeah, you're driving like a dumbass. Focus. It is unacceptable. And it's one of those things, too, where, like, phones... Oh, do you? You honk at people on their phones all the time? Oh, that is satisfying. It's like, yeah, exactly. That is very satisfying. I think the other thing, too, because, like, if it's important enough, if you're driving, like, so many cars now are equipped with, like, this sort of hands-free Bluetooth stuff, that if somebody calls you... Like, you should, like, you know what I mean? It's one of those where, like, if it's a text, it can wait. If it's important, they'll call you, and you can pull over and answer. You know what I mean? If you don't have the hands-free option. It just seems like it just is completely, like, it just, yeah. Like, there's certain things, like, technology advances to make you being irresponsible obsolete. But apparently not in all cases. Yeah, the inside of my car is like a spaceship. Oh, have you seen, because there's cars around here now, I think Kia, because I think Tesla kind of started it with their sort of very futuristic looking cars, but some other makers now are doing them. I don't know if it's always the electric ones, but I'm just noticing, like, there's some cars that drive by, in the outside they look like spaceships, and they're the ones that have, like, the handles to get in and out of the car that are flush with the doors, and they just kind of look like a spaceship, or kind of like a really futuristic looking Batmobile. And I don't know what it is, but I personally find them really ugly looking. Like, the more a car kind of looks like a spaceship, the more I'm like, not for me. I'm like, no. I want my cars to look like cars. Yeah. And, like, I don't get, like, do you yeah, that's true. I didn't even consider that, but you're absolutely right. Because I don't even know how they're supposed to, like, is it one of those things, like, when the car is on or when it's stopped, they, like, pop out or something like that? My favorite cars are boxy. Yeah. We're trying to find, because we need to exchange our car. I think I talked about this, where London area is doing this thing. They have this thing called the low emission zone, or the ultra low emission zone. And basically it's trying to prevent, like, cars that are not eco-friendly from being on. And if they are, then they charge you. And so right now it's sort of extended to a certain point, but it's not on our property yet. But by the end of the year, they're expected to expand this ultra low emission zone out, that if you have a diesel car that's under a certain age range, you'll get charged basically just for turning on your car. So unfortunately, our diesel is past, because if they're over a certain age, then apparently they're still, like, eco-friendly enough, but our car is, like, a year older than the cutoff rate. So you have to get a new car, is what I'm saying. Which is annoying. But one of the things that we're doing... Ooh! That's cute. That looks like you're gonna go on safari. I like that. It's a safari car. But, so, one of the things we originally were looking at trying to get a hybrid, maybe, because it seems like, okay, if the whole point about this is that they're trying to make, prevent... trying to make more eco-clean, efficient energy, whatever, we might as well, like, try to get the next thing they're probably going to be asking for. Because right now you just have to have a petrol car or a diesel that's, like, over a certain age. And so I'm like, I'm sure eventually all of the diesels will be phased out, and then the petrol cars will be phased out, and then they'll want to go, like, fully electric or whatever, right? So we're trying to do that, but it's really expensive. We're going to get a hybrid truck. That'll be really nice. Because the other issue that we're having is obviously Shadow is a very long, tall boy. And so right now he's in the back seat. And every once in a while, like when we have extra company that we're carpooling with, we have to stick him in the boot. And he likes being able to see out the windows. And so he has enough room in the boot currently if he lies down. But he doesn't like lying down in the car. He puts up a real stink about it. And so our thing now is trying to find a hybrid or a petrol car that has like a trunk or a boot that's big enough for a standing Greyhound. So that is difficult. And it also needs to fit in our garage. It can't be too long. So it needs to fit in the garage. It needs to have a Shadow-sized boot. It needs to be a petrol, preferably a hybrid. And then it needs to, we have a budget. And then we have, you don't want a car that's like over so many miles because then it could literally like drop dead whenever. So it's proving a lot more difficult than we thought it would be. Especially because we really like the Hyundai Tucson. But it's really difficult to find one that's not like stupid expensive. So we'll see. We shall see. But as of right now, I think we have until August to find one. So that's kind of just like a future us problem. Like we already have, we have so much on the go right now that like we're gearing up for this reception for my family visiting. We're still helping out my in-laws deal with Liam's granddad's house. We have our own garden that we want to like be getting up to snuff. So there's just lots of and then Liam has a bunch of shit going on at work as well. So like there's just all of these moving pieces that it's like we will deal with the car later, Hi Saul, good afternoon, sir. We almost got a Ford Escape, but it was cheaper to get the Edge for some reason, even though it's bigger. Oh, interesting. Maybe it had less bells and whistles or something? That's weird. But it's good for you, because I feel like, if you can manage a bigger car, then why not? You know what I mean? Hello, Saul. How are you doing, sir? I know your hand is being a huge pain in the ass right now, but I'm hoping you're finding a little solace in life right now. Trucking through the bullshit, hoping for some pain to subside. We are stabbing up a storm right now. I'm trying to be as productive as possible, and then I have a bunch of show and tell, which I'm excited to show you. Yeah, I think it does, but it still looks like, oh, yeah, spaceship. Spaceship cars are interesting. Oh, is it because it's like the big touch pad control panel stuff? Afternoon, stopping by, putting on the TV. Ooh, put me on the big screen. Wowie, wowie. That'll be fun. But yeah, I'm gonna finish. We have this little section, so I think what I'll do is we'll finish up this section, and then we'll do. It's got a giant. Those are so interesting, and I don't know. Like, I don't mind a touch screen, but I feel like sometimes they're not as good as they like. I don't know. I feel like sometimes with cars, I remember watching like a YouTube video or something like that about someone saying, like, how if like the touch screen doesn't work, like how kind of fucked you are in terms of like navigating stuff. Because I feel like back in the day, if a car had like a piece that broke, it would be fine. And then other ones, it's like, oh, this is too much. Oh yeah. You hate it? It's not safe to adjust the airtime. Oh, really? Because that's the other thing too, right? Is also when you're driving, sometimes those touch screens, they like have a minute to do like a feedback reaction. Whereas if it was just like a knob that you turned, right? You could go and keep going, and it's not like you're spending so much time not focusing on your driving to adjust the temperature, right? But if you have to sit there and first of all, aim your finger to adjust stuff while you're trying to drive, I could actually see that being almost like distracted driving territory. You know what I mean? Like it could almost get to that point if you're not careful with the touch screens. I'm just moving this back because I feel like I'm yelling. I've always liked giraffes that have a head above the trees. Ooh, that would be fun. Yeah. Oh, that would be cute. That would be a very uncanny valley situation where you're like, I want to be a giraffe, but I specifically want to be a giraffe that works in a grocery store and helps reunite lost relatives with each other. That's cool. I hope to, I guess it would be nice. You would want to be a fully alive adult giraffe. Because isn't it when, like, mom giraffes give birth, they're basically, like, dropping their offspring, like, 5 feet in the air, just like, okay, have fun. And they just, like, literally fall and plop down and go, cool, I gotta figure out how this life thing works now. But that's a cool answer. I like that. Ford is trying to go up against Tesla, so they won't keep... Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I feel like buttons are better. Have you seen a baby giraffe walk? I think I have, and it's so awkward and silly and ridiculous, and I love it. It's kind of similar to, like, deer. When, like, baby deer are trying to walk, it's giving, like, very Bambi vibes. You know what I mean? What are you doing over there? The other thing, too, that's fun about giraffes is don't they have blue tongues? So that would be cool. When you stick your tongue out at people, it would be like, bleh, and then it would be blue tongue. That'd be fun. Me and heels. Just like a dainty gazelle. Just so precarious. To be fair, I am not very good at walking in heels either. I don't do it often. I should, to be fair, I genuinely was thinking about it. I'm like, I probably need to practice working in my, like, walking in my heels for the reception, because I've not worn them in a long time. I remember when I was little, we had, like, a really, I don't want to say elaborate, but we had a lot of dress-up clothes, so I used to play dress-up all the time with my friends. And so we'd have a pair of just, like, dress-up heels. So as a kid, you, like, dress up in these, you know, dresses that are too big for you and put on heels and try to walk and, like, appear like an adult. And I remember walking around in these shoes. And, my babysitter at the time, she was, like, instructing me on how to, like, walk in them better. And I remember her keep saying that she's like, you're walking like you have a pickle up your butt. Like, you need to relax. And so she'd be like, so I would, like, relax and keep going. She'd be like, pickle's still there. And I'd have to, like, regroup and make sure. So yeah, if you're walking like you're clenching a pickle up your butt, you're doing it wrong. Gobstoppers used to give colored tongues. Do they not anymore? I bet you they still do in the States. I feel like the UK has really cut down on their dyes that may cause hyperactivity in children. And so everything is natural colors, and they don't do a very good job at, like, coloring stuff. Which is probably good in the long run, but then it's not nearly as fun, you know? Not had one in 20 years. Yeah, to be fair, I've not had a gobstopper. I know, like, growing up, I feel like jawbreakers were a huge thing, like, when my dad was growing up. But yeah, anything that requires you to, like... Oh, probably. We get all the dyes. It's true. It's true. Canada does as well. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I'm sure... I think we have, yeah, which, again, I think is better for probably our health, but not as fun as a child when you want to run around with, you know, a different colored tongue. Yeah, probably. It's like a natural. My tongue would bleed from jawbreakers. Yeah. That's the thing, those things would last forever to the point where you would, like, have to take it out and, like, put it on the side of your counter to, like, go and work on that another day. Because you don't want to bite them, because then you'd literally break your jaw, you know what I mean? So you'd have to just sit there and work your way through them. And that would be a lot of effort. Yeah. Yeah, don't give a kid. It's true. Yeah. I remember it was really funny. For Liam's cousin's baby shower, we did a Practical Magic themed baby shower, and I got her mom, because her mom makes cakes, to make like a witch's hat one. And so in order to get the pigment so that the hat looked like a really dark black, she had to put so much like black food coloring or black, you know, like cake dye, the liquid brand. Oh, the brand was called Jawbreakers? I just assumed that that was what the candy was called, but it makes sense that that would be the brand. Yeah. Oh, the Practical Magic House is incredible. But it was so funny because the cake had so much black dye in it, like the food coloring, that when we ate it, all of our tongues turned black. It was so funny. And my nephew at the time, he had the slice of cake and we were like, oh my God, your tongue is black. And he was so concerned. He went like looked in the mirror and was like, oh my God, like, am I okay? What's going on? You know? And we're like, dude, no, it's fine. Like, it's just the dye. It'll wear away. Like, don't worry about it. But you could just tell he was like, oh my God, my tongue is black. I'm dying. And it's like, no, you're not, dude. It's fine. Don't worry. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, my brother loved Toxic Waste. I think he still does. I think he has this weird thing where he almost likes to put himself through unnatural pain just because he can. And I'm like, bud, you don't need to do that. You know, where it would be like, oh, let me try this like hottest pepper ever just to see, you know, oh, I've had worse. It's fine. And I'm like, Vic, you don't purposely need to make yourself suffer. You know, it's not a thing. But yeah, Toxic Waste is a fan favorite. I wonder if he still likes it. Probably. Torture in the best way. Exactly. Torture with like a nice sweet surprise in the center. All right. Is this all that we need with this particular color? I think so. Okay. So, next is number 10, which is this green guy here. But I think before we move on, we should do some show and tell. So I can show you all the fun little goodies that I picked up yesterday. They're literally just, it's so funny because I picked all these things up for the kids' loot bags for the party. So we have 8 kids that are coming to the reception. Half of them are under 3 and the other half are 3 and up. And so we got like different things for them so that they have stuff to like occupy their time when they're there. Just like a fun little party loot bag surprise. So some of the stuff everyone gets, some of them it's more like age appropriate. So I gotta show ya. So I'll be right back. I'll go grab the stuff. So it's really exciting, and this is just like an assortment of stuff. We got more like specific things as well, but this is just like an idea of them. So we have sort of like the older kid box and the younger kid box, but so we picked up these like treasure chests from Hobbycraft. So these are the things that I want to decoupage. So what we want to do is like decoupage is like you get like cool patterned paper and you glue it down and stick it all over this to decorate it. So we're gonna do that. And then I picked up some Cricut vinyl that I'm gonna get my brother-in-law to print out the names of the kids so we can stick them on the boxes. So then they have their own customized little like party box. And then inside them, which is super freaking cool, at least I'm excited. And we also expect that like the parents of the kids and all of our friends are just gonna play with all of the stuff as well. But we found these actually at Primark. So they're like those stress ball poppers. So we got them for all the kids because they're just like, you know, a little sensory thing that you can play with. That is loads of fun. They came in a couple different colors. So we got one of those. And so then for the kid, like for the little babies, we found little hand puppets. And so we got like little hand puppets for them. And they're like safari themed. So there's a tiger and a monkey and a giraffe and an elephant. And so they're each gonna get their own little puppet. And then we got little noise makers for them. And so this one's like a little baby rattle. And then the other one, they're like different kinds of rattles. Tasha Puppet Show one, could you imagine? That would be great. I would do it. So we got little rattles for them as well. And then we're gonna get glow sticks for all of the kids. And we're gonna have a bunch of glow sticks. We'll probably put leftover ones in for the like adults and stuff, because who doesn't freaking love a glow stick? And for the older kids, we got these like, so they have the poppers, and we got these balls, and I don't know how, like, they feel like they have corn flour in them, so they're really soft and squishy, but then you can also like pull them apart and stuff, and they come in different colors, but I can only describe it like when you're squishing corn flour, which is like a really, really soft, dense, fine powder. You can probably see some of it like in this thing. But I don't know, they feel wild. They feel wild, and like we're obsessed with them. And then we also got these little things. So the little things where, you know, you can draw little magnet people, and then you can erase them afterwards. And we for sure know that all of the adults are gonna steal these and like draw penises and swear words on them and like erase them and stuff. But still. And then we're also gonna get, like I said, glow sticks. And then probably for the older kids, we'll get like a fruit shoot juice box and stuff. Going to put on TV now. Okay, no problem, Saul. Thank you so much. I appreciate you hanging out from a distance. I hope your wrist feels better. But I'll know you're here. And that's awesome, and that makes me happy. But yeah, so what we're gonna need to do probably, well, not probably, we will, is when the decoupage supplies arrive, we'll have to decoupage them together, probably, because I have 8 of them that I have to make, and they're quite large. So I'll have to get a head start on them once stuff arrives. But then we also got, like, little containers for toiletries and stuff as well. I have to show you, actually. It's so dumb, because obviously there's all those little rattles, and they were, like, a variety pack of different ones. So let me go and get the different ones to show you. And for the little one, we have one who's coming who's not even a year old yet. And I found the freaking cutest rattle for them, and I'm gonna show you guys because it's awesome. I don't know what it is, man. Like, kids' toys are just so freaking interesting. Like, I don't know what it is. I just think they're fascinating to me. So here's the other rattles that came in this pack. So there's this one that has all these fun little beads. And then there's this one, which is like one of those clacker ones. So probably the oldest kid will probably get this one because he probably has more motor skills that he can use to like really smack this around. And then this is the one that I found for the baby. Look! It's a little crab, and it has these like little nubbies on them that they can play with and like chew on and stuff, and a little rattle, and then look at this. And he squishes eyeballs down, it squeaks. Like, are you telling me that like a 6-month-old, oh, I'm sorry, Shadow, did the squeak startle you? Shadow's like, I would also like this. It's not for you. You see, it smells nice, but it's not for Shadow. I'm really conscious of like making sure I keep the hand puppets away from Shadow because he loves a good fluffy fuzzy thing, and I kind of don't want to give the kids hand puppets that have been slobbered on, you know? I would like to have slobber-free puppets to give the children. But yeah, this is what we got, and then I'll also show you guys the poster board that arrived the other day, or that Liam picked up. Because it turned out really good. But yeah, so do you guys remember when I went to the printing store and I told the dudes like, oh, can you make these welcome signs for me? I don't need them until May 24th. And I've scaled them for like A2 size pixels. And they're like, oh my God, we wish everyone did that. And I like walked out of there feeling super like chuffed with myself, being like, oh, look at me, I did my homework, and they're all impressed. But Liam picked them up and they arrived and they're so freaking cool. So it has our name on it, saying that it's our very, very belated reception, and it has a bunch of the pictures that we took at our actual wedding in a collage so that people know they're in the right place. And so we got 2 of these, one for like when people show up, and then one for the bottom of the stairs, because they can take, there's a lift that they can take, but the venue itself is like on the top, like on the 2nd floor. So we gotta have something on the ground floor to indicate that you gotta go up the stairs and you're in the right place so people aren't confused. But yeah, it's very exciting. And then, oh, well, I'm just doing all sorts of freaking show and tell, aren't I? I'm spoiling everything. We got custom tea bags. So people are like, because obviously Liam and I are obsessed with tea. It's very British of us. And just, you know, that's just who we are as people. So there's these wedding favors we got where they have like our initials on them. And inside is a tea bag. So everyone's going to go home with a tea bag with our like initials on it. It's so cringy. The perfect blend. But like, I don't know, with weddings, you're allowed to be corny, right? So this is a reception. So we figured, yeah, we can be corny about this. So, but it's like my favorite color. I love this green. It's the same kind of green as the stream room. I feel like if I could paint my entire house this like sort of green color, I would, because it's just the most calming, soothing color to me, I find. But yeah, so stuff is coming together, which is nice because that makes me less stressed than I would be if it wasn't. But yeah, so stuff is all coming together. I have to go pick up my dress next Tuesday. I'm trying to think what else. We still have a couple more things we need to order. But hopefully... Oh, and Liam finally finished printing all of the pieces for the centerpieces. Because I was telling you how we were having the biggest problem with the 3D printer. It was being an absolute pain in the ass. To the point where we had to actually switch the filament we were using because we were like, it just keeps jamming. There's problems with it. But Liam was able to print the last 4 things we needed to print with no problem. So now that's done. So, you know, we're just like, you know, we're just bossing. We're just winning at life right now. I say that. Watch me like come back on stream next week and be freaking the fuck out over something. But as of right now, we are killing the game. So it's all good. All right, let's move on to number 10. But yeah, the only thing I'm concerned about now is obviously getting the, like, kids' boxes decoupaged and labeled with their names. But again, we have what? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? 2.5 weeks to get shit done. Yeah. 2.5 weeks. I know we can probably like do stuff leading up to the reception, but I would like to get things done before everyone arrives. Hi, Aurora. Good afternoon. I hope you're doing well. I hope your week is going well so far. We're also on the home stretch with this needle felting project. I feel like the end is near. We have 4 more colors to do. I think right now all we're kind of doing is, yeah, the last 3 colors are just filling in these. Glad you're winning with it all. Yeah. Oh my god, you got an operation date. Oh, that's incredible. Oh my god, I love that. Yay! That's coming up soon. Oh, that's going to be awesome, though. So hopefully that goes well and that there's no complications and that everything is fabulous and wonderful. Oh, that's amazing. It does feel like a really good day. Look at that. We are all crushing it right now. Go us. Okay, so we have, what is it? There's only 2 of these that are using this color. So now we're filling in these 2. Oh, that's so good to hear. to think what else has happened in the last few days. Aside from all that. The only thing I did find is that I have this, like, Instamax camera that I bought, that my parents got me ages and ages ago when I was younger. And it's an Instamax 8, and I guess they don't make that one anymore. I'm sure it's probably, like, old Apple products that, like, eventually the model is, like, discontinued. It does seem that the film, like, the Instamax mini films should fit any of the mini cameras. So I'm hoping that it's not out of date, but that's the other thing I needed to order today, but I forgot. But we'll get that done. So that's the only thing I'm concerned about, but other than that. Oh, it's so funny. Liam's work, they have an office in Dubai, and they've been having issues with their, like, IT stuff. So he's gonna be sent out there this month. And he's very, like, anything I can tell you about Liam is he is, like, the whitest British man. And I don't think, like, so he's not a fan of heat, you know? Like, he's not interested in hot weather. Not a big fan of, like, swimming and things either. So to, like, cool yourself off from the hot weather, one would maybe go swimming, but he's not interested in that. So yeah, he needs to potentially, well, he doesn't potentially, he is going to be sent out, and I think they already are in, like, 40-degree weather over there, 40 degrees Celsius. So he's not looking forward to it. I didn't realize, though, that from here, the flight's, like, 7 hours. And so they're only shipping him out for, like, a week, which is good, because I was like, you can't be in Dubai for too long, because, like, we got shit to do. But it's, like, that's, like, going to Canada or the States for, like, 5 days. Which feels like not enough time, one, to, like, acclimate yourself to the jet lag, and then, like, just, you know, by the time you've acclimatized yourself to the jet lag, you're on your way back home. So it's going to be very interesting when that happens. But yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't mind, like, warm destinations. But I've never, I don't know, like, there's certain places, like, certain countries that I've never had any interest to travel to. And Dubai is one of them. Like, I don't know. I don't have any interest in, like, those sorts of things. Like, I have a friend who actually lives there. A girl that I, like, met when I was at university. And, like, she looks like she lives an incredible life, but it also just looks like you're just 24/7 in, like, resort town. And it's like people don't really go outside unless they're going outside to be on the water. So you're either, like, melting or you're inside in air conditioning. And it's like, okay, I could be inside in air conditioning at home, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else has ever, like, thought that it was an interesting... Because we have friends that have been to, like, the Emirates and stuff like that, and they've, like, really enjoyed it and stuff, but it's just not our cup of tea, I don't think. Because he had to get sent off to Switzerland for work. And that was lovely. I was like, oh man, like, if you ever needed to, like, if we ever wanted to relocate to another country, like, I would 1,000,000% pick Switzerland over Dubai. Because there's, like, mountains and all that kind of stuff. Oh, that's nice. There wasn't litter everywhere. That's an interesting bar. I like that. I like that that's the standard. You're like, it was clean. That's so funny. That's nice, though. I'm glad it was enjoyable. Yeah, I'm very interested to hear his perspective. That's one of the critiques I've heard about France. To the point where there's actually, like, a medical condition where people go to France thinking it's gonna be like the movies, and then they get there and it's, like, really stinky and touristy and there's trash everywhere, and people like experience a legitimate like medical like I don't know what it is. It's almost like a shock or something like that. I remember, I don't know if maybe this is just like an old wives' tale or whatever, but I'm 99% sure that it was like an actual thing. It's like medical condition, shock in Paris. Yeah, the Paris syndrome. It's literally a thing. So, the Paris syndrome is a sense of extreme disappointment exhibited by some individuals when visiting Paris who feel that the city is not what they expected. The condition is commonly viewed as a severe form of culture shock. The syndrome is characterized by a number of psychiatric symptoms such as acute delusional states, hallucinations, feeling of persecution, which makes sense, perceptions of being a victim of prejudice, aggression, or hostility, derealization, depersonalization, anxiety, as well as psychosomatic manifestations such as dizziness, tachycardia, sweating, most notably, but others such as vomiting. While the syndrome has been particularly noted among Japanese tourists, it has also affected other travelers or temporary residents from East and Southwest Asia, those from China, South Korea, and Singapore. So basically what happens is like people, yeah, it's still, it's like a small thing, but basically, like while magazines depict Paris as a place where people in the street look like models and women dress in high fashion and like all of this kind of stuff, they said, you know, it's basically like the ultimate, I don't know, it's almost like, it's kind of like it's like travel catfishing in a way. Like, you know, like when, I don't know, like maybe you're on a dating app or something like that and you see a picture of somebody and then you meet them in real life and they look absolutely nothing like their picture, and you're kind of like, oh shit, and there's like this weird dissonance. But to the point where it's a whole city that has like catfished you, and it's so incredibly distressing that you get like dizzy and have like literally like a breakdown over the disappointment, which is wild. But I can see like it, you know, I don't know, like I can see the disappointment. I don't know if I would ever be disappointed visiting a place to the point where I'm like literally having like dizziness and convulsions and stuff. But yeah, it's literally a thing where a country gets so romanticized that you go there and expect that, and then when you're like, this actually is not like that at all, it's like this weird dissonance. So yeah, I remember it's actually a thing. I think probably like Paris is probably what like that one the most, because I think maybe what happens is if you're in another country, specifically like if you're in like an Eastern country and those Western places are very romanticized, especially like Paris, because it's like, oh, that's where like Chanel was brought, and there's like the Moulin Rouge, and everyone's so fancy and high society, and they smoke long cigarettes and eat fancy baguettes, and oh my god, they're so bougie and popular and fabulous. And then you get there and it's like, oh, it's just another major big city that has, you know, like an unhoused crisis, and there's trash everywhere because it's a big urban city, and that just seems to be what happens. And, you know, people are walking around and there's no like rose tinted glasses, Parisian, you know, whatever floofiness happening. Yeah, to the point where a whole city catfishes you. But yeah, I don't know if I've never, I'm trying to think, like, if I've ever been anywhere that then has not lived up to the hype. That would be more like individual places, you know what I mean? I don't think it would be like if I traveled to a different country. But even still, I don't think I've ever been somewhere where I've been, like, absolutely disappointed in the surroundings or the outcome. I think sometimes, like, I can be disappointed by an expectation of, like, you know, oh, we're going to this place, and so I assume, oh, if we're going here, that means we're maybe doing this, that, and the other, and then those things don't happen. That's maybe more where the disappointment is. It's not necessarily disappointment in the place, but disappointment in the activities that we do at the place. You know what I mean? Or, like, you know, the last time my parents were here with my aunt, we went to Brighton, and it absolutely pissed it down with rain, and my feet got soaked, and I was miserable. Like, I recognized, like, I felt so bad, but I was absolutely, like, having a bad time. But it was not the location's fault. It was the rain and the fact that my shoes didn't repel the rain at all. You know what I mean? It wasn't because I was shocked by, it was, like, this, yeah, that's what it was. The same thing happened, actually, when we went on, like, a bus. I went on a bus tour with my parents to go to Stonehenge and go to the baths in Bath and those sorts of things. And again, pissed it down with rain. My shoes were absolutely no help. I actually had to go to the gift shop and buy, like, 2 pairs of, like, tacky Union Jack socks because my feet were so soaked and I needed something to sort them out. So now every time I wear those socks, I'm always like, oh yeah, you were purchased at a very low point in my life. And by low point, I mean very wet foot point. I remember going to Barcelona and we had a lovely planet booked. We were trying to scout for this. Oh. We were at a crossroads trying to find it. We looked at it. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. Had a lonely planet book and we're trying to scout from a sculpture. Oh, that's so interesting. That's fair too. Actually, to be fair, similar story. It was, my parents, we were driving around Canada, not across Canada, but there's this thing where I think it happens a lot in the States as well, because there's a lot of, like, unclaimed real estate, you know, a lot of just, like, swaths of land that's not used. North America likes to make the world's largest thing and put it there. So there's the world's largest Ukrainian Easter egg in Vegreville, Alberta. There's, like, the world's largest, I don't know if it's still the world's largest, but it was the world's largest T-Rex in Alberta. There's, like, a Canada goose in Northern Ontario. And so I think we were going to the world's largest skunk because it was, like, en route. And it was, like, yay big. Like, we thought we were going to be, because the Canada goose, you can, like, drive through it. It's so big. So we're expecting the skunk to be very similar. And it was like, nah, it wasn't. And I was, like, looking at that. I'm like, someone could easily beat this record. You know, it was definitely one of those moments where, like, the town or whatever was like, what animal doesn't have a world record for largest sculpture? And it was like, oh, the skunk. And they said, oh, we could do that. And then made, like, the most abysmal attempt. So that could be an easily breakable sculpture record. But yeah, that's definitely, that. The other thing I hear about is if people see the Mona Lisa, they're also disappointed. Or not disappointed. I think now, with, like, the rise of the internet, you can see how actually small the image is in real life. But that's a good example. Like, that's definitely a thing where I could see that being disappointing, where it's, like, the perspective of a specific landmark, and then, like you said, you get there and you're like, oh, that's it. never mind then. Or like, oh, that's cool, but I think the other one too, where people, like, you see images online where it's like the expectation versus reality, is like taking pictures in front of like the Taj Mahal or like the Egyptian pyramids, and it's like in reality photos are taken with like drones in like, I don't know, certain times a day where you can get a picture of like all of it and there's like not a person in the frame, and then you see like what it's really like as a tourist trying to take a picture in front of the Taj Mahal, and there's just like thousands upon thousands of people in your shot because you can't get a clear shot because it's always so busy full of tourists. So that's always funny. I think if you like have the right tools, like my friend, when me and Jen went to, I think it was the tour, this like thing in Glastonbury, this like tower, and we were taking photos in front of it, and she has like one of the kind of film editing softwares on her phone, and some of them get really good at being able to like erase people and erase other things and sort of like make it so that it doesn't look like you're surrounded by people on things. So I'm sure there's like technology that you can get that if you took a photo in front of like pyramids or whatever, you could probably erase all of the people that are also around you, but it's more difficult. And then also the photo it looks edited when you do those sorts of things. But yeah, that's the only way you can sort of get around that, I think. Especially in like more sort of touristy sections, touristy parts of the world. We actually ended up, I think it was like at a truck stop somewhere, I ended up picking up a book called like Canada's World Largest, and they had a list of all of the things like across all the provinces that were like the world record world's largest, and then we ticked off all of the ones that we had been to. A lot of them, like, there was actually a lot sort of on the East Coast, which obviously like I had never been to. I think my parents had seen some of them, but yeah, I'm sure that the States has tons of them. I'd love to go to Japan, but I just have this feeling. Yeah. That's the only thing, because that's another one that's on my, like, bucket list, is I also would really like to go to Japan, because I like the sort of cyber punky sort of thing of it all, but I also love things like, you know, the Studio Ghibli Museum and, like, hanging out in the forests and stuff in Japan. But yeah, I definitely think the cities would be incredibly overwhelming. Yeah, the older I get, the more I don't want to go to crowded places. Even though I think originally, like, when the pandemic, when things were first starting to open up, I was kind of like, oh, if I never go to Disneyland or Disney World again, like, I'll be fine. But now I'm like, I think I could reasonably spend time in Disney World and, like, but it would be one of those things that you try to go during, like, the off season and, like, during the week and things like that to try to, like, maximize or minimize the amount of extra people that are there. But yeah, I could definitely... One of the things I would really want to stay in one of those capsule hotels that they seem to have all over Japan and in other parts of the world. I just think that those would be kind of cool. Just to, like, stay a couple nights, because especially if you're, like, traveling and tour, like, seeing stuff, you kind of just need your hotel room as, like, a bed to stay in. So it would be fun to stay in one of those and just, like, stay in a pod. I wonder if they have any of those in London. That would be interesting. Yeah, that's the other thing, too, is they are quite... Yeah, you'd have to be a bit wary if that's something that you struggle with. That would be difficult for sure. Yeah, you're like, I feel like I'm in a box. No, thank you. I'm pretty sure this, like, Pretzel Rocks playlist, I'm no good at being the top bunk. Oh, really? Oh, wow, yeah. No, that's interesting. That makes sense, though. Yeah, especially, yeah, depending on how high up the top bunk is, you don't really have a lot of clearance. But yeah, this particular playlist on Pretzel Rocks is just called The Lounge, and I think it's meant to be sort of like 60s or 70s inspired, but it doesn't give me any indication of the type of music this is. The icon on like the playlist is a lava lamp, so I'm like, okay, this is like maybe like funky disco adjacent stuff. But the station just says The Lounge, take a seat somewhere between here and there. And I'm like, that sentence doesn't tell me anything about the type of music that you're about to play for me. I was like, I don't understand. Because some of them, like, if it's chill, to be like, oh, chill, mellow, whatever. I'm like, these are words I get. These are words that describe the type of music I'm about to listen to. Take a seat between somewhere here and there. I'm like, okay, if you're talking, like, okay, if this is throwbacks, there's multiple decades to throwback and also multiple types of music within that sort of 60s, 70s decade. So I don't understand. Like, it's fine. The music's been fine, but I was like, I have no idea what we're about to listen to today. Yeah, it's so cryptic, isn't it? I'm like, I don't know what this means. I'm like, okay, you're trying to take me on a musical journey, but can I at least have, like, you know, some idea of where the journey is going to take us? No? Okay. Cool. I think that was it for that one. Damn, we are flying through this today. I do feel like we'll probably have to go over some of these things just to fill in some of the gaps. Maybe we don't, but like there's obviously inconsistencies in terms of like the coverage of covering these black lines. But from a distance, it doesn't really matter. Oh, jeez. Okay. What's next? Number 11. Yeah, I think we're literally just finishing. Damn. See, I thought that this was going to take a few days. Damn. We might actually get to start on a... Like, the decoupage stuff's not going to arrive. But so we might actually get to start another craft kit. Damn. I didn't think that was going to happen this week. I am shooketh. How interesting. Cool. Okay. So we'll probably do the string art afterwards. We'll do some hammering. Wow. Wowie wow. Okay, number 11 is this guy here. And then we have, these are both 13 and that's 12. So 11, 12, and then these are 13. And then we're freaking done. My mind's in the gutter. Oh, because I said hammer. We're going to hammer some stuff. Yeah, that's all right. I'll accept that. That is an acceptable level of gutterness that we have dove into. We did say that The stream we decided that we have a 14A rated stream here, so I think that it you know, that allows for some innuendos and some gutter interactions. Trips down to the gutter are acceptable at that age range, I think. These books are melting my brain. Hey man, we love you for it. Truly. Truly. The books are, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, those would be 18 plus. Probably 30 plus. Oh. So highly scandalous. They're not for the uninitiated. Yeah. You had to take a break? Really? Were you getting too overwhelmed? They're books, they're I don't know, what do we call them? They're smutty books. They're smutty books, but they don't always have fantasy components. Lately, a lot of them have. At least the ones that you've told us about. There's fantastical elements to the smut. Into the hockey realm. Oh, that's interesting. That feels very basic, actually. At least from a Canadian perspective. As somebody who is aware of the term puck bunny, which is basically like the girlies who get dressed up to go to, you know, they don't give a shit about the hockey games, but they love the hockey players. And they get dressed up with faces full of makeup to sit there on the sidelines and cheer for the people. So that feels like a concept I understand. Now we're talking my kind of reading. Amazing, Angelic Dreamer. You are also the fan of the hockey romance novel. I've told you how stressed my parents are about the most recent playoffs because the Oilers are getting in. And the Leafs as well, which is wild. Because the Leafs, I guess, in like... The Toronto Maple Leafs apparently hadn't gotten through the first round of the playoffs in like 19 years. Oh, just pure smut, not hockey smut. That's fair. You appreciate smut of various genres. Just the smut first, other things after. Pucking around. Oh my god. What a term. That I do appreciate how pun-tastic smut can be. I do feel like that is a genre that really loves a good pun. You know, they love a good innuendo-esque pun. And I love a good pun, so I'm here for it. My face is bright red. That's alright. That's alright. At least it's not as, you know. Is it bright red from the hot flashes of all of the sexy hockey players? It's okay, as long as your coworkers aren't walking by with the smut on the big screen like it happened at one time. no problem, Aurora. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you so much. Have the best rest of your day. I mean, it could be. Oh, that's true. That's true. I guess it is one of those things. I kept my finger on the mouse button. That's good. That's good. I guess it's one of those things where it's like, it's still, even though I feel like it's, you know, it's more socially acceptable, I think in a way as problematic as I've been told, you know, the 50 Shades series are, I think it really helps sort of destigmatize smut and like engaging in that sort of material. But I do think it probably does feel like it's one of those things where it still kind of just feels like a bit like a naughty secret to be engaging in than something that you would speak openly about. You know what I mean? It's one of those things like everybody, like a lot of people are engaging with it, but it still feels like this little sort of naughty thing, you know? Oh, 1,000%. Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. Oh yeah, all of the reread / rewatch of the Twilights and things. It is definitely, yeah. I still want to watch all of the Twilight because I've not seen them all. I feel like it's my nostalgic 2000s duty to at least, you know, engage in that content. Though I do think it's something that I think would be more fun to watch with someone else. It's like sad if I just watch it for the first time by myself, but it's more fun if I watch it among other people who would be into that sort of time period of nostalgia. Same with the Bring It On series. I was very tempted the other day to watch the like really bad Netflix serial killer one. Yeah. maybe when the chaos of May and June have wound down, maybe we do a Twilight rewatch party on Discord. That would be wild. Or any of them. I know I keep talking about like doing something on Discord, but you know, my brain, I slack. I'm a slack-a-lacker when it comes to Discord stuff. I almost watched the, wasn't it when we were talking about the Bring It On series, and there was, like, the cringy slasher Bring It On, the most recent one, that completely, like, shifted from the genre. I was tempted to watch that the other day, just so I could talk about how probably cringy it was on stream. I can't remember why I didn't. I probably forgot. I guess these like, because we put this darker color on first, this is a little bit, like, even though they're larger pieces and I feel like we're almost done, it is a little bit more intricate, so it probably is going to take a little bit more time than I thought it would, which is nice. Oh, may the 4th be with you, Melon. Yeah, guys, I totally forgot it's Star Wars Day today. Damn, completely forgot. I've read a thing where, or I know people who went to Catholic school where when somebody says, may the 4th be with you, they automatically go in also with you. Because it's like, it has the same cadence of like somebody saying, may the Lord be with you. But I didn't go to Catholic school, so I do not have that problem. Or church. Heathen. The only time I was ever jealous of my church-going friends, though, is when a bunch of my friends went away for a weekend because they were, like, I don't know, I guess, like, training for their confirmations, but it was with a bunch of, like, people in our neighborhood that I thought were really cute and I liked, and so I would have just wanted to go and hang out with them, not for the churchiness of it all, but just a chance to hang out with cute boys. But I guess it would, yeah, but it was in the name of church. So the only time I was jealous of my church-going friends, so they got to have a cool sleepover with some of the cute boys that I liked. But they were all then going to pledge their love for Jesus and stuff, and I wasn't about that. But I hope you're doing well, Melon. I hope your week's been good. If anyone is celebrating Star Wars Day, are you rewatching? What order do you watch the series in? You know, do you do release date or do you do chronological canon? Do you just watch the original, I guess the first iteration, so you watch the original and then you watch the 6, or do you watch the whole ones with like Rey as well? How doth one celebrate Star Wars Day? Do you just watch Clone Wars and the Bad Batch? Do you not engage with any Star Wars related media? Maybe you just build Star Wars Lego. There's many different ways to celebrate Star Wars Day. Yeah, I feel like I even saw Star Wars Day stuff, but then I completely forgot. I think well, not because of it, but again, I'm so focused on so many other things. The thing that everyone keeps trying to talk about here, or what I've noticed. Yeah, honestly, Kat. How dare you? Haha, that's funny. That's funny. I observe Star Wars Day by engaging in the opposing fandom. But yeah, speaking of celebrations, you know how I joke about how when it comes to celebrating, especially things related to the royal family, that Brits love a good bunting. And so I've been on bunting check when I've been going for walks with Shadow. And I have to say, there's not a lot. And the coronation, I guess it's on Monday. So maybe over the weekend, people will be putting their buntings up because people are having, like, the roads are closing and because people are having, like, street parties and stuff like that. And I feel like for Queenie's Centennial, there was, bunting, like, up a good week before the Centennial when everyone was having the party. And I do think the genuine consensus across the UK and the world is that no one gives a shit about Charles. So I'm very interested in the next couple of days to see if the bunting springs up in the neighborhood. But it's been very minimal bunting parties. Aw, Carrie Fisher's getting her star today? That's awesome. The Walk of Fame star. You have a Star Trek license plate on my car. Someone been, oh, you are a fandom of mix. Yes, I know, Kat. I know that you are a big Charles hater. I'm just more, well, yeah, no, I guess I'm just more indifferent. But, yeah, so people are, yeah. I guess the other thing, too, is there's a lot of, like, apathy towards the whole situation because the cost of living crisis in the UK is still happening and people are struggling and they're like, oh, let's use all this tax-paying money for all of this pomp and circumstance that, you know, no one can really afford to partake in because we're all scrapping together, you know? So, the people are not pleased. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, I think, like, in a way, it's really good, but, you know, to the disservice of the royal family. Because at first there was, you know, the Diana of it all, so that's why everyone hates Charles. And then obviously, too, because of Meghan and Harry separating from the monarchy and sort of, like, whistleblowing all of the secrets and all of the bullshit that sort of goes on behind the scenes there, it makes it really sort of like, I don't know, the monarchy kind of puts a sour taste in the mouths of the people now. And so to celebrate the new monarchy, you know, changing of the guard, if you will, is sort of like, yeah, no, I would rather not give my tax-paying dollars for this because no one kind of gives a shit. I wonder who they finally got, who's finally going to perform at the coronation. Because there were so many like artists that they reached out to see if they would perform at the coronation, and everybody was like busy or said no. So I don't even know who they've gotten to perform. I think the monarchy was all, yeah, you think so? Yeah, did they try? I wouldn't be surprised. They do a lot of, like, because I think they try, you know, which, in a way, I guess it makes sense if you're considered almost like the world's most affluent family, and it's like a very political thing. You do need to have to try to control the narrative of how you're portrayed in the media, and that's why they have their have their hands in the pockets of so many of the different media outlets here. So then when something like that, like with South Park trying to make a farce of the situation, I can definitely see them trying, because then that's taking their control of their narrative, even if it's for satirical purposes, out of their hands, and it's all about controlling your image, right? It's like with any celebrity. Like, I think in some celebrity circles, all press is good press, but I think in terms of the royals, if it's not good press, then we need to pay someone to make it go away, or we need to go and fabricate some good press, you know? Yeah. Oh, Meghan and Harry tried. Oh, yeah, definitely. It's a similar thing, right? I don't know, man. It's getting to the point where, like, you know how sometimes you end up learning, like, the way that social media algorithms work, and you, oh, nothing. I said, oh, that's interesting about Harry and Meghan trying to sue South Park. That was all. I was saying that, like, you know how you have social media algorithms, and sometimes they'll feed you stuff that you really, like, because you care about certain things, it'll then, like, tangentially be like, oh, you might care about this. So sometimes there's, like, you see those posts where people are like, everything I've learned about, for instance, about Brooklyn Beckham and Nicola Peltz has been against my will. You know, like, there's certain just celebrity, or, like, all the information that we learned about, like, Will and Jada Pinkett Smith's marriage has been against my will, because the algorithm will be like, oh, you might be interested in these things, and it's like, I'm really not, you know? That's kind of how I'm getting in terms of, like, the royals. I'm like, anything I know about you is kind of against my will at this point. I'm not actively searching out this information. I think that's also one of my hesitations about, among other things, because I hate watching things with audio. Oh, this is going to be to any of my friends who are listening to this who send me voice memos. I love you, but I really hate voice memos. I get sometimes if you're busy or it's like a really complicated story you're trying to tell, it's easier to send it in a voice memo than to type it out. But 9 times out of 10, if I'm engaging in my phone, it's because I'm sitting beside Liam and we're watching TV and doing other things. And one of my things is I don't like bothering people. And if my headphones aren't near me, I'm not the type of person who's going to press play on an audio message that has sound when I'm in a room with other people. Like, I'm not that kind of person. And so then I just don't respond to your messages, because I'm like, by the time I find a quiet place to listen to a voice memo, or I like manage to find my headphones to plug them in to then watch them. Again, I'm the same way. And that's the other thing with TikTok, is most of the videos are reliant on sound. And so I don't like, when I'm on my phone, I'm usually in a room with other people or already consuming a sound elsewhere that I don't want to be mixing sounds. So I'm like, no. Things are on silent for a reason. So it really stresses me out when I'm like, why are you doing this? Because then I have to remember. Whereas if you message it to me, then I can respond to you with a message. Yeah, no, I'm not a fan. I'm real sorry to anybody who loves a voice memo. I dislike receiving them. The only time, like I said, the only time I will allow it is if it is a long, complicated situation where you don't really have, like, the time or energy to type me out like an essay about the situation. But if you're just saying, hi, how's it going in a voice memo, I'm already annoyed. Like, I'm really sorry. I love you, but I'm annoyed. I'm like, I don't like it. So that's my other thing. So 2 reasons why I don't think I'll ever get TikTok. So one of them is because I don't enjoy engaging in social media with sound. I'm very much, like, I view my social media from the lens of pictures. And if it's a movie, like a video, whatever, that's fine. I know reels are important, but, like, well, now, because the algorithm's just trying to turn everything into TikTok. But social media for me is either words or pictures. Not sounds. Not movies. That's what my social media, that's how I engage in my social media. And so, yeah, that makes sense. But so that's step 1. That's one of them. But then the other thing is, again, like I said, I might, out of curiosity one time, or what'll happen is I think sometimes videos can be very clickbaity. And so you don't always know what you're watching until you've consumed, like a good few seconds of it. And by that point, TikTok or even like other things like Instagram or whatever has registered that as your prolonged engagement. So then they start algorithmically recommending more of that stuff to you, even if you only watched it because you were confused and didn't quite know what was going on. And by the time you figured it out and went, that's cringy, or I hate that, the algorithm's like, but you watched it, motherfucker, so we're gonna send you more of them. And I'm like, no, don't do that. So that's another reason why I'm afraid of the algorithm. That's what it is. Don't recommend me shit that I'm not gonna want. And then with sound, no, can't do it. If the video cannot be cute without sound, then I don't want to watch it. Thank you for coming to my rant. I'm like, this is why I hate sound, which is so silly. As somebody who, in the past, I still do, but like I fucked with music so hard. Like that was my entire identity as a child. I feel like it's a lot of people's identity as a child. Like, you get really into the certain music that you like. Which, by the way, Kat, I can't bring myself to watch that Louis Capaldi video because I don't want to cry my eyes out. I know you posted that, being like, someone cry with me, and I was like, I don't want to cry with you. Because then I also saw Perry Edwards from Little Mix posting on it, how her and her mom were bawling her eyes out after watching it, and I was like, nope. I don't know if I can do that to myself. So I saw it. I know I should, but I don't know if I want to get in my feels. I know sometimes it's good to have a good cry, and it would be, sometimes it's like cathartic and therapeutic for a good cry. But, you know, I don't necessarily know if I want to have a good cry right now. Is that a weird thing to say? I would like to plan my cry. I'm like, I got too much shit to do. I don't got time to be sad. Be right. It probably would be nice. But I can't bring myself to do it just yet. Oh, I think we need to have a snack soon. Yeah, I think about that because it's one of those things where I'm not somebody who likes watching like romances or different things like that. I don't know. And I don't know if it's because like I probably spent so many years of my life crying and being upset about stuff that maybe I'm like, now that I feel like I'm a bit more emotionally stable to put myself through that, I don't know if that's something I want to do. Even though I know it's a perfectly safe place to do that. I don't know, man. By the end of the shopping adventures yesterday, I was getting so brain dead. I don't know what time it was, but me and my mother-in-law were in Hobbycraft, and I was just trying to talk to her about, I think, getting a pen holder for markers, because we have these markers that the kids are going to get to, like, washable markers to doodle on the cardboard castle that we're going to set up. And I wanted a container to store them in. And even now, that seemed like a bit of a difficult thing for me to communicate to you guys. But, like, dial up my brain fog to, like, 11. And I think I couldn't even tell her markers. Like, I was like, you know how I want to get something to store the things that the kids are going to be drawing with. Like, I literally, like, in my brain, I was like, I feel like I'm having a stroke. And honestly, like, my mother-in-law was being so patient with me that she just, like, stood there and looked at me and, like, waited for me to explain myself. And it took me a good 5 minutes to be like, I'm looking for pen holder, like, marker holders. But in my brain, I was like, you know, the things that we picked up that the kids are going to be using for coloring, I want to get something to put them in. Yeah. Yeah, truly. Because then at the end, she messaged me being like, oh, it was a really fun day. Like, I hope I didn't slow you down at all. And I was like, you thought you slowed me down. Did you see my brain literally shutting down in real time towards the end of our 7-hour adventure? She's like, it's fine. By that point, I just resorted to mind reading. And I was like, it's good. Yeah. But do you ever have that? Like, sometimes it gets so bad in the evening where I will start talking to Liam and I will stop mid-sentence because I'm like, you sound like completely brain dead. Like, what's going on? Like, when I can't articulate myself, I get so frustrated. And I'm just like, I need to just regroup for a second. I'm like, give me a minute to remember how to speak, and then I will tell you what I'm thinking right now. Yeah. So, sorry, the only reason I was thinking about that is because I've been eating my granola bar and all I was doing was staring in this corner. I was staring actually at this because my father-in-law for my birthday, because he knows I collect buttons and stuff, he ordered like the coronation buttons. So I actually have like a King Charles coronation button. And so, yeah, so it is happening on the 6th. So, I don't understand why there's like such little bunting. I think people genuinely just don't give a shit. They just want an excuse to party. They're not putting up their bunting for the king. Well, that's fine. But yeah, so I'm just sitting there eating my granola bar, just like staring off into the corner. Just like completely. I got them from time to time. I had to tell Chris I need time to. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. That it's because it's interesting because my mother-in-law was talking about how my brother-in-law, like, since he had COVID, we think it's like triggered something in his immune system where he absolutely, like, he might be allergic to his friend's cats now because he's had just like the worst sort of like eye skin sort of infections and things where he has to keep like going on antibiotics and keep doing things to just help sort out his like, I don't know, like immune system or like his like histamine system where, cause yeah, he had like something going on and it just seems like since he had COVID, there's like certain parts of his immune system or his like allergy sensors or whatever that just completely have like been fucked up in the last little while. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm sure, like I hope that there are, I assume there is, or at least you hope that there are studies going on right now that are, I know that they're talking about the effects of like long COVID, which seem to manifest itself in like more acute things where it's like super like lethargy and all that kind of stuff. Like there's like more sort of extreme cases of long COVID that people have been documenting. But I do think, like you said, like doing research on almost like those small changes to see what's happening. But still, wow. Yeah. I'm like, my uncle and his mom did that, and then they died. Like, you know? Yeah. You're like, cool story, bro. But like, I don't know, I'm at a point now where I'm like, to each their own, but if something happens to you, then, you know? Oh yeah, this is the one that you said is completely losing her mind because she keeps getting ill. You're like, cool. And you're like, can you recognize how adverse your current mental and physical state is? She wants to travel to, good for her. Yeah, sure. Whatever. I don't know what the rules, like, I'm not sure if they changed the travel rules in terms of, like, vaccination status and stuff. I don't know. Like, I genuinely don't know, because it was one of those things that I know when you traveled, like, kind of at the height of everything, that you needed to have proof of vaccinations for stuff. I don't know if you still do. But yeah. I think it would be good and it would be fine if you did. Because it's like a lot of places, when you travel to different countries, you have to get, like, the avian flu vaccine, and like there's different things that you are required to get to travel to certain countries. Even before all of this, that was like standard. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what those things are. Huh. What a strange concept. Where it's like the doctors are recommending all of these things and you're like, only half of those are real. Okay. it's like, you know, I don't know if it's something that you guys, like, if you've noticed or come to, like, almost, like, terms with, where I'm, like, getting to the point where I'm, like, you know, people are just constantly hypocritical, you know what I mean? And it's, like, people's own, they will justify their hypocrisy to support their own individual values, you know what I mean? So it's, like, because there was that thing, I think I've talked about this before, where I was watching somebody and everyone was, like, talking about how, we've talked about this before, how Jon Stewart was, like, slamming this senator about how they're trying, you know, they're banning trans affirming, like, you know, affirming care, like, healthcare, and they're banning, you know, all, you know, drag queens and all this kind of stuff, but then they're refusing to ban guns, even though guns are the largest killer of children and all this kind of stuff, right? And then, you know, everyone was praising Jon Stewart for basically, like, ripping this senator a new asshole about being a huge hypocrite and how, like, he's such, you know, basically a hypocritical piece of shit for believing in those things. And it's like, okay. Yeah. And then it's one of those where I watched a video essay where a person was like, no, the senator is very aware that he's being a hypocrite. Like, he's not an idiot. He's just doing and saying things that support his own individual beliefs, right? Like, this is a thing that is scary and I don't like it and I worry about it corrupting my children, because I don't want my children to be, you know, if your child is trans or if your child is gay or if your child is, you know, like, differently abled, they will be that regardless of whether or not you are banning access to care for those things, you know what I mean? But it's like this weird juxtaposition of peace of mind when people who are, you know, homophobic and transphobic and stuff like that, they're like, well, if we don't allow these things, then that means it will never happen to our children. And it's like, no, I'm pretty sure if your child is those things, they'll eventually figure that out for themselves, regardless of whether or not you ban those things. But it's this thing where that has this artificial, inflated peace of mind for the people that are doing those things, right? Whereas for them, they like the guns, so why would they want to stop the guns, right? And it's like this thing where we have to ban drag shows, because if my child sees a drag queen, they might want to do drag and that's bad. But my child will never die via a school shooting, because I have them in special private care, and that doesn't happen to my child, so then I don't actually give a shit, right? And so it doesn't really do anything but make liberals happy when famous liberals call out the hypocrisy of conservatives. You know what I mean? It just makes us go, yeah, fuck yeah, you really showed them. And it's like, nah, dude's still gonna go and pass the laws that you just reamed him out for being a hypocrite for. That doesn't actually do anything. It just makes you feel good that someone is, like, sticking it to the man. And it's like, that doesn't actually achieve anything, unfortunately. If we could just call policymakers and senators hypocritical assholes, they might go, well, shit, man, I never thought of it that way. Maybe I am being a hypocritical asshole. Oh, I should maybe change my ways. I'm like, no, they're very aware that they're protecting their own ideological interests. And that may be hypocritical, but that's fine for them. You know what I mean? Like, I think if people, like, I could see, you know, like, your average Joe Schmo. You know what I mean? But it's like, not being funny, I do think from maybe, you know, a certain intellectual standpoint that some people in charge and leaders in charge are idiots. But they still, through, you know, nepotism and money, went to, you know, the most prestigious universities and the most prestigious whatevers and all that kind of stuff. So from a book smart objective, they are intelligent people. And sometimes, if you are a combination of intelligent in charge and want to protect your own interests, the hypocrisy doesn't bother you. You know what I mean? Because you know how to, if anything, yeah, like, I just doesn't think, I'm like, calling you a dumbass. And if anything, too, also calling people names just makes their necks prick up and they go on the defensive. And so if you're trying to rationalize or trying to get somebody on your side, calling them names isn't gonna do it. I'm like, anytime someone's called me a name, the last time I thought is, oh, I would like to work collaboratively with this person who's called me names. That is something I would like to do. I'm like, no. If someone calls me a name, I go, bye-bye. Fuck you. You know? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And also, like you said, with abortions, they will still happen, but more people will die. And also, the rich will still have access to those things. It's the people that will suffer are those who don't have the connections. Which, again, protects the interests of the wealthy. My senator won't even respond to his constituents right now. Really? Blocking nomination for military. What a... Why, you know? I feel like the ban... Yeah. And then that's the other thing, too, right? Is the concept of, like, banning guns is such a sweeping statement. Where it's like, you can still go hunting... You can still, you know, have, I don't know, even to like, have a pistol. I don't know. The problem is that people have access to AK-47s where they can take out 50 people in like 2 seconds. That's the problem. You know what I mean? Like, obviously there's bigger problems, but I would like to think the first step is like, maybe we don't want people to have the ability to kill people, massive amounts of people in like 10 seconds. I think that would be a genuine rule of thumb, you know? But, yeah, it's a complicated... I know complicated. I think it's complicated because it's become politicized. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you believe in this, you're this thing. And if you're that, it's another thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. I've seen so many things on the Phil DeFranco show. There was one guy who apparently threatened... to like shoot a 6-year-old girl because she rang his doorbell because she was looking for her missing cat. And he was like, who rings doorbells in 2023? This little girl comes back like I'm gonna show her what's what. And everyone's like, I'm sorry. People can't just ring doorbells? You know? And then it's like people wonder why everyone is lonely and there's no sense of community. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, everyone's lonely and there's no sense of community because you literally are not allowed to talk to your neighbors anymore because they might shoot you. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't trust anybody if that was the case, dude. Yeah. That's so... Ugh. And then that's the other thing, too. It's almost like a heightened version of, like... in customer service, the person that kicks and screams the loudest usually ends up getting what they want. And that just sets like a horrible precedent where it's like the person with the bigger gun or the person being the asshole is gonna be allowed to get away with shit because everyone's worried about them going nuts and shooting them. Like, that is no way to want to live. Actually happened in my hometown the other day, which is again like because Canada's a bit better about stuff, but I think because like my hometown is the sort of largest hub in Northern Ontario, there seems to be a lot of like gun and drug and people trafficking going through it, like a heightened sense because there's a major airport, people will come up from like Toronto and the southern part of Ontario, go up north to then do that sort of, I don't know, do shady shit. I assume it's related, but it might not be. But there was actually a fatal shooting at a bar that I used to go to in like the last few weeks or so. And that just boggles my mind that I'm like, oh, a place that there used to be roller derby after parties when I was in roller derby as like an early 20-something-year-old. There was somebody with a gun there. And I'm like, that freaks me out. So, yeah, I'm surprised not everybody in the US has crippling anxiety that stops you guys from going anywhere. Kudos to you for living your life despite all of these terrors that seem to be occurring. And I'm not saying that bad shit doesn't happen all over the world, like, but it just seems like your chances of getting shot in the States seem incredibly high. Much higher than the chance of you getting stabbed in the UK. I don't know if that's official facts, but I feel like that would be, I would bet money on the chances of it, like, you know, because a lot of times too, it's not even so much where, a lot of times when there's things like that happen, it's always like, oh, it was premeditated because it's like gang related or it's like drug related or debt related or something like that. You can usually trace it. And sometimes it's like, if an innocent bystander was injured or killed, it's like, well, they were in a space where that interaction occurred. But it seems like more and more it's just random, where it's like, oh, you pissed me off, so I shot you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, I believe it, Melon. That's got to be so difficult. It's almost like a heightened state of, like, you know, when you're younger and you're taught, like, only walk in well-lit areas, only do this, only do that. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, like, kudos to you guys. Like, you guys are, like, low-key my heroes for just existing in that sort of space. Really? I'm so sorry to hear that, Melon. That's absolutely terrifying. Yeah, just absolutely, like, heartbreaking too, truly, that it's like, wow, the fact that, because people sometimes, like, I don't know, like, people have bad days when they're driving. There's instances where, like, stuff happens. A lot of people drive like assholes around here. But never in my mind would I think that an instance would happen that would cause someone to lose their life. Like, or have their life taken. It's not losing a life, it's their life is being taken from them. Forcefully. By somebody who can't control their anger. Like, that's terrifying. And then you're just like, okay, cool. When did humanity lose that humanity? That's really tough too. Yeah. That, it just, those conversations then hit differently, don't they? Because it's like a recent sort of memory. It's one, like, yeah, it's one thing when you hear of, like, it sounds really shitty, it hurts both ways, but it's one thing to, like, let's say you have, like, a childhood friend that you find out has passed away. Like, that can be, it's still terrible, but the fact that, like, you were the last person that they talked to before that happened, that's a different level of, like, and it's not, because there's nothing you could have done. But it's like this weird sense of responsibility in a way, I'm sure, of like being the last person. You know what I mean? Excuse me. That feels very heavy. Yeah. Ooh. Because then that, you know, that might feel like almost like a mix of almost like survivor's guilt in a way as well. Like that's another thing, like another layer to that. Yeah. That's a lot of, I'm assuming, I don't want to speak on your behalf, but that sounds like it would be a very sort of nuanced, multi-leveled emotional experience, having all of those layers be in there. How are we doing for time? We've got like a half hour. We are doing all right. Just putting more of this on here because when we felted in the other color, this sort of got lost. So we're just reinforcing these areas. Oh, are they? Oh yeah, I guess because it's like Cinco de Mayo Eve. Actually, I'm pretty sure isn't Keith from the Try Guys having an Eat with Keith White People Taco Night live stream? The whole office should do that. I don't know when the stream is starting, but you guys should eat your white people tacos while you watch the White People Taco live stream. Not that anyone in your office would know what that means. Those words probably sound incredibly foreign to them. But yeah, I think he is actually. I wonder when it's. I don't think he's posted it, but. No. Not yet. But I know that's the plan. I know that's the plan. Unless it's tomorrow. Yeah. I know tomorrow for Cinco de Mayo, our friend Jazzy May, is having her first ever subathon. So we are definitely going to be raiding her tomorrow to go and show our support. It's her first ever subathon, so it's very exciting. So actually, let me... Ooh. Oh, I don't know how to spell it. I don't know what her tag... What is her handle? I don't know. But anyway, that's what we're doing tomorrow. We're definitely going to go raid her tomorrow. In support. But yeah, I wonder, maybe today we should try to raid someone doing Star Wars content for Star Wars Day. Or not, we'll probably just see which ones of our friends are online. Okay, I feel like these lines are getting a little bit muddy, so I need to go. Oh yeah, there isn't. I shall make one right now. Let's add one. Text channel. Memes. Create channel. There we go. I'll probably edit that and put fun little emojis beside it. But for now, there we go. There's a memes one. I guess to be fair, if you wanted, you could have just posted it in general. I feel like when there isn't a dedicated place for something, it just kind of goes in general, but I do think you're right. It would be a good idea for meme. Spicy meme time. Oh no. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Cat's like, I'm ready. Fires up the saved memes on the phone folder. Yeah, this needs to be filled in a bit better. I am a little bit annoyed with how muddy this is looking. Let me fix it. I have a bunch of cat memes. Oh, very nice. Very nice. They're not that spicy, that's fine. Even if they were, as long as they're, you know, medium spice. Not full spice. We just want a little mini spice. Use of Queenie memes. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know if I have memes saved on my phone so much as I have, like, cute dog pictures or, like, things. No, every once in a while, it's, like, comics that, like, comic strips from Instagram that I'll save. So, yeah, I'm sure I got a few memes on there. Got a few. Let's see the last, to be fair, I don't know if I have them saved on, let's see what the last, like, do I have any memes on my phone in my photos? Probably not. They're probably saved on Instagram specifically. Yeah, let me see the last thing I saved on the gram, if it's memeable. How memey it is. What's the last thing I saved? Saved. Oh, this one. This is a good one. This is a good one. So that's the last, like, I would say that fell under the meme category. So here's my last saved meme, guys. Yeah. All right, how is this looking? Not too bad, I believe. It's this particular line that I am mad about. But I think just want to there we go. That's a little bit better. Oh, yeah, no problem, cat. Go cut the tomatoes. Okay. I think that one is done. Move on. Damn, the audacity. What did you do? Did you say something spicy to your cat? Did you offend them in some way? Or did they just want to cause some shenanigans? They woke up today and chose chaos. Yeah. From my very baseline knowledge of cats, I feel like that would do it. Yeah. Or maybe you did just look at them. They were like, do not engage with me. Do not perceive me, human. I shall not be perceived. Aww. Does your cat give a good side eye? Shadow's very good at side eyes. He's like, what the F are you doing? Oh, that too. Maybe, yeah, they could be punishing you for past transgressions. Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely feel like pets can sometimes hold grudges. Yeah, thankfully Shadow doesn't seem to hold grudges. Because I think I would be very upset if I, like, caused him to, like, pout and have a grudge for more than a couple minutes. I would be devastated. I would be like, I'm so sorry, my baby boy. I say that, but sometimes he's upset because he's, like, not getting the treat he wants and whatever, and I can be like, no. You know, you gotta lay down the law sometimes. They can't just get away with anything. So then sometimes he will, like, take himself into the corner of the room and, like, do a big heavy sigh. Like, he's like, oh, I'm so inconvenienced by this. So I guess it does happen, and I don't feel that much remorse, but... That's because he usually gets over it pretty quickly. I think if it was like, you know how people can hold grudges for years, you know? I think if he held a grudge with me for more than like 12 hours, I would be very distraught. So this is our second last color, which is wild. We got about 10 minutes left. We are crushing it. So we'll actually get this done by the end of the week, which is wild because I definitely thought that maybe it was going to take more time, but I guess not. Oh, did you? Let me see. That's a pretty bombastic glare. Wow. Wow. This cat is so unamused. I love it. They could also just be half asleep. They could just be like, listen, do not disturb me. I'm resting. He looks like a cutie even when he looks absolutely tired of your bullshit. He looks adorable in his pissed off state. I love it. Incredible. Incredible. It gives me every time he wakes up. Yeah, I think he's like, why? It's like he wakes up and he probably is like having the best cat dreams. He's like chasing all the mice and like, you know, climbing the tallest cat trees, and he wakes up and he's like, oh, I'm still here. You know? Just a look of utter disapproval at his current surroundings. He's like, in my dream state I am the king, and I wake up here and I am but a lowly peasant. How disappointing. Is he? Yeah. Honestly, though, they are, but they're still ungrateful, aren't they? We treat them like absolute royalty, and they still find something to complain about. And you're like, you don't realize how good you have it. That's what I tell Shadow. I'm like, he's such a little prince. And I'm like, you realize you are spoiled rotten. Not all people would treat their puppies this well. You know? Like, after this, I need to go figure out what to make for dinner. You heard a funny thing about cat owners? What was that? That's funny. Does your cat crawl on you and sit on your face at like 2 in the morning? I hear that happens with a lot of cat owners. Where the cats will come and just like sit on their faces and like basically choke them out in the middle of the night. I feel like little dogs do that too. They just like crawl on top of you and like end up sitting on your face or your lap or like, or your neck, sorry, while you're asleep. And you're like, why can't I breathe? And you're like, ah, 'cause I got a face full of fur. He sits on my chest. Yeah. Oh, really? Well, that's funny. It's probably difficult. Well, to be fair, because like even because Shadow doesn't like lay on top of us, but like even if he's in the bed, like sometimes he'll rest his chin on like my feet or whatever. But you get like constricted, especially if you're somebody who like tosses and turns in your sleep. You can't really move around when you got a pet in the bed. It like doesn't always work. So So sometimes you're just lying there in a state of discomfort because you're like, well, guess I'm stuck here now. Ooh. He's still small, but I will not break the cat law. Yeah, it's true. Once a cat sits on you, I think it's the same thing. Like once dogs, like when Shadow, he doesn't do it often, but when he comes to snuggle with me, I'm like, I can't move now. I absolutely need to stay here until he is done snuggling. I just wouldn't, yeah, it's unacceptable. Go to Jeffrey for a baby, that's funny. You're like, absolutely, this is my ride or die, my bestest buddy in the whole wide world. Got about 3-4 minutes left. So if anyone has any raid suggestions, let me know. If not, we'll go see which of our friends is currently online. And then I have a feeling that we will finish this tomorrow, which will be amazing. It's very ahead of schedule in my brain. I thought this was going to take at least another week. But I think because there was so few sections left per color to fill in, I think we are doing excellent in terms of... So we do need to clean up some of these lines and stuff, so we'll probably spend some time after we finish filling everything in, just cleaning everything up. But yeah, I can definitely foresee that. Yeah. Well, I guess they have, it would be primary caregiver, right? So I would assume that, you know, if you're in a poly situation, you would have the primary caregivers and then the other responsible adults in the situation. You know what I mean? So you would have to designate primary caregiver. Whoever the two most responsible ones are in the poly relationship, they will then be designated mother and father, and everyone else will just be other adults. Alright, let's go and see. Ooh. Who else is online? Let this take a million years to load. We will add a bit more while this is happening. Oh, Makerbug's online. Pop-Tart's online. I don't know who the... Oh, Queen. Dragon Rider Cat. Rabbit. Tons of people are online. Tons of friends. I got so tired all of a sudden. They put you in charge of taco shells. Are you just taking the shells out, or do you have to heat them up? Let's see what they're doing. You had to heat them up. Good job. Proud of you. Are they soft shells or hard shells, or a mix of both? Hard shell, then I have to heat up the sauce. Right, yeah. You are team shell. Very good. Alright, I don't know what Lolali is making, but it looks like some sort of wall hanging quilt situation and looks really cute. So if they will allow us, I feel like we should go and raid them, because I feel like I see a teacup. It's a reverse side of like a wall hanging, so, but I feel like I see a teacup or a coffee mug of some sorts. And so, you know, if there is warm, cozy beverages involved, we must investigate. So let's do that. And then we will be back here tomorrow, probably downstairs, finishing this. I am convinced that we will be able to finish this. It's going to be very exciting. And then, yeah, next week, well, if we finish this, we'll probably work on the string art as well. So we might finish a project and start a second project, or we're just finishing a project and seeing what else we get up to. Sounds like a plan. See you guys tomorrow. Bye!